All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to the newly named DFS Army League of Legends PentaKill Slate Breakdown, Draftkings, FanDuel, League of Legend. We got some gank on the hang low today. Think about it for a second. It's going to come to you. And I got the GOAT's League of Legends analysts with me, the faceless ones, Taco and Advantage. What's up, fellas? What's up, Taco?
What's happening?
Advantage, what's happening? How's it going, man?
It's going good. It's going good.
Man, I can't believe we got the whole crew together. It feels like a can't lose situation. So, coming off a pretty good slate last night, where 4-2 won, and almost seems like obvious in hindsight. A 4-2-1 stack took it down. The team salaries for OMG and whoever they were facing, VG or whatever, were like a little bit lower than the team salaries. Than the team salaries for the two favorites that were kind of going to crush that slate. So it was interesting the way that worked out. You can, what we learned, I think, and what we've known a little bit is if you're trying to make a lineup in a 4-2, when there are some cheaper teams on the slate, team position allows for some interesting things because that lineup did spend almost the entire salary cap. So we're getting into it tonight. Vincent's asking, what's a PentaKill? PentaKill's a 5-kill situation where one person kills the entire opposing team. And that's what we do here. Fucking kill the opposition. Right, guys?
It's a little harsh. It's a little harsh, but
I mean,
I play Lux, so I don't know what a PentaKill is. I'm sure Advantage does.
Yeah, I don't get them too often, but once in a while.
Gotta love the PentaKill when you're playing the game. That means you're crushing. Like if you play Master Yi as a jungler and you get them all hyped up, the other team's jungler sucks.
That's the PentaKill god, right there.
Then you start getting all kinds of PentaKills. You know what I'm saying? Like I get PentaKilled a lot, so it must happen for people. Because when I play, I'm usually part one of a PentaKill.
I did a PentaKill last night with the optimal lineup, but unfortunately, the ones I killed were like the dime, the 50-cent quarter, and the $1.
You PentaKilled all the cheap contests.
Yep.
It's not gonna work.
The optimal last night was actually just a flip from the first lineup I made. I saw it looked like a really good night for the double support stack. And the only difference between that and the first lineup I made was it had QQ as the captain and Sword Art as the support. You just switch those around and have Sword Art as a captain. So it's kind of interesting to have a captain from the 2 stack be the winner instead of the 4 stack.
Is that how it worked out?
The other way around. Yeah, that's how it worked out.
That's why
the Sword Art just got a million assists. He had 102 as a support, which is a godly performance.
It's like that's why you can't make intense rules.
Yep, and also a 3-3-1 almost took it down last night by 0.1 fantasy points.
Yeah, I thought the 3-3-1 may have won one of the contests, but not the other.
It's just barely not optimal, like just ever so slightly.
One more kill of a minion.
2 minions, yeah.
Is that called a gank?
I think that's 5 minions, but still.
Is that a gank when you kill a minion, or is it a gank when you run out of the woods and you kill people like the jungler?
Definitely a gank when you run out of the woods or jump out of the woods. That's called a CS.
A CS? No, on Draftkings, but is there like a name for it in game? Like
farming?
CS, farming.
Oh, okay, just farming.
Minions killed.
Yeah.
See, what do I know?
I think CS actually came from another game, but they just kept calling it for that in League. Just a MOBA term.
There we go. All right, so let's talk about 3 games on the slate tonight. We'll break this thing down, 15 minutes or less. You guys know how we do.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Morgan Johnson would have gotten first place with 4 more minions. We saw it. It was a very close. It was a very close game. So we've got 3 games on the slate tonight. What I like about it, straight off the bat, I'm going to tell you guys something.
Mm-hmm.
I've been playing this. I don't like LCK, and it's not. I don't have a thing against Koreans. I love the Korean people. South Korea is a beautiful place. I have an LG TV, so I don't want to hear it. But my issue is they're always fucking subbing. I need the starting lineup. I don't know how to do it. Like a couple nights ago, they had a 6-game slate. I think the winning lineup had some dude that was a high sub risk. How the fuck was I supposed to get on that guy? It's too risky. I haven't been enjoying. So I like these slates where we don't have as many sub threats.
Yeah, that's a good one for that. Like 2 days ago when we had the only LCK slate, that was a disaster. Ended up just pretty much skipping it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very difficult. You don't know the starting lineup. Somebody's got to tell those guys that if we're going to bet on them and watch their streams, they need to let us know who's playing.
Well, the Koreans are very against gambling, so that never happened.
That's part of the reason they don't do it.
They don't like gambling?
No, not
They
at
also
all.
Don't show the scoreboard at the end of the games a lot of the times because that would contribute to that as well.
Well, in fairness to the Koreans, and it seems that some of these kids are susceptible.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently, yeah.
So, I mean, if there's no gambling, so I get that. It's kind of like Major League Baseball for a long time was like any discussion of gambling was like all Major League sports was like a real no-no. Now everybody's like, different, but it was a real no-no because of the integrity of the game, and the Koreans don't want to mess with the integrity of the game. That's what
I don't blame them at all for it.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, looking at this slate here, we've got one. Let's look at the big. I'm jumping around. I'm not going in order here.
Start off with the easy one, the Smash.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got a Smash game. Fun plus Phoenix, minus 1,400 favorite, taking on LNG Esports. Stands for Liquid Natural Gas. Not a lot of people.
Stands for Lost to Victory 5. I know the letters don't add up, but that's all I remember them as now.
They lost to Victory 5, so they're like the Jets of the LPL, basically, where or the
Jets aren't that bad. They didn't actually.
The Jets always
dropped the game.
0-16 team. Like the Jets always lose.
That is true.
To the 0-16, the team that was going to go 0-16, the win was against the Jets. It was like the Bills. Basically, LNG is the Jets. They're not the worst team.
The fat girl keeps a guy from being a virgin the rest of his life.
There it is. So let's look at this game. We've got Fun plus Phoenix. It seemed like they're going to be starting Khan.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. That's a big change. Salary wise, we're going to get a lot of crispy lineups here. We're going to get a lot of crisp if we're including Fun plus Phoenix in our 4-man stack based on these salaries. Then we're going to see a lot of crisp. So overall, I want you guys to break down because we know who's winning this. Minus 1,400. We've got a pretty good idea. 14-1. Oh, that's heavy odds of winning.
No, they have lost to one team this year that they were like minus 2,000 favorites to win against. But turns out that team was E-Star in their first game ever. And E-Star's definitely proven that they're a pretty damn good team.
Yeah,
there shouldn't be anything like that. We already know LNG is not good.
They're kind of mediocre,
That was more of the handicapper fucked up the line.
Information there.
Yeah, like that happens. Okay, we accept that. But a handicapper should never get a minus 1,400 wrong. That is just crazy. Yeah. So, assuming we uncheck LNG here, we're playing Fun plus Phoenix. What leads to a high score for these guys? What are we rooting for?
So,
break it down for me.
We're rooting for them to. We've seen them drop really easy games just by kind of messing around with the draft pick against OMG and against Billy. We saw them lose game ones in each of those series by kind of messing around in the draft, and then they take it seriously the last 2 games and just stomp on them. They really haven't been hitting their value lately. I think the last 3 games you've been able to just fade FPX as like the expensive chalk, and you've been fine.
That's my question, and for both of you guys, because I'm trying to what the hell is this?
Oh, that's tomorrow's thing.
It's tomorrow's.
Oh yeah, I'm trying to get a full sense of what the strategy is like. So here we go.
So you click on NFL first. Too used to it, man.
Yeah, it's I want to so bad.
I catch myself click on NASCAR all the time.
I just want to click on MMA at least, UFC. All right, so let's look at the last few games for these guys. Do and B is their top guy. Actually, Do and B I think is the top scorer for this team.
Oh yeah,
he is. Yeah,
I mean it's just a disappointment bonanza here in these 2-0. So they've been
had some 20-minute games where they just curb stomped the other team, and they just laid over.
See, I saw the question in Slack literally 10 minutes ago. So that's why I think this is a really good topic to explore. People said, well, if they're such a huge favorite, Shouldn't we like be all in on them? But
not so much, man. That's how Invictus was the other day against V5. So big of a favorite, and then they end up just crushing them too fast.
We don't want the fast crush. We want a back and forth game. Is that right? I like Advantage. You know, how do we figure out when it's going to be like that and when it's just going to be like a little back and forth? Do we want the closer game? Last night, for example, there was a tight odds game. Was that one of the nuts lineup? One of those teams was in the perfect lineup, I believe.
Yeah, yesterday was OMG versus VG, and it was a close game. It wasn't actually that high scoring. It was just that since OMG was really cheap, they were able to score like decently enough that fitting in Suning would be the main reason for your points. Like the game itself was not very high scoring, even though it was close.
Yeah. Okay. So it wasn't that. So that one didn't work out high scoring.
Yeah.
That's interesting. But Suning was a heavy favorite last night. They scored really well, but Suning is just a team that scores well.
Yeah, they
always
like they tend to go longer in the games, go for scaling champs.
And they're against V5, who just die all the time. So
all right, so let's look at this team really quick. Now, the first thing I will say is I never want to play the most expensive team. They don't correlate with the best scorers per se. So, like, of the favorites, Fun Plus Phoenix, I can almost fade the quote team unless it's some lineup where I have a lot of extra money. Is that a decent
it's the best
strategy?
team, definitely.
I mean,
the other guys are close enough. Like E-Stars, JDG, both those teams are pretty good. I don't see one team just taking all of the objectives against the other. It's kind of the same in the other way, but not because both teams are good, because both teams are so bad. As for FPX, you can assume they're going to clean up pretty much everything, get most of the turrets, probably get the game not played bonus. So if you can afford FPX team, it's a great spot to have like a one-off exposure to them.
Oh, interesting.
Or just,
okay.
Maybe them, maybe their support.
But you've got to be able to afford it.
You don't have to spend up on it. You still probably want the cheapest winner in your lineup.
Yeah.
If you have the extra salary space, you might as well.
This is just when you have the extra money left over. Now, looking at this team, FPX, if I want to stack them, they're the highest. I mean, this is sort of a cash play, I would say, with a minus 150 and a minus 180. I pretty much think in cash, the move is probably to stack this with one of these two, although, we'll see. We'll see what you guys have to say about it. Yeah. But if I'm choosing a captain from this team, is it going to be doing B pretty much? Should we go with Khan here? 6,800 has scored really well in his games. And how do they play differently with Khan in there? Does somebody suffer?
So Khan is he's definitely a carry top laner, where their old top laner, Gimgoon, is known as a weak side top laner. Plays a lot of tanks. Just tells the team, don't worry about me. Let me do my thing. Let me just tank up stuff for you guys while you guys just focus on bot lane, mid lane, get it all rolling. As for Khan, he just likes to beat people up. Likes to smash them in the face. And that's exactly what happened when he came in last game. He's not sneaky because he got subbed in last time they played. Was not sneaky at all. It was like 40% owned. And yeah, he rolled face on him, but again, it was so fast that he barely scored at all. I don't even think he was in the winning lineup at all that night.
I don't think it's with 67 points he was going to be in the winning lineup. But, this is a guy who in two losing matchups against E-Star and IG, who are admittedly the kind of teams that, like, they score a lot, right? This is a high score. Yeah. But my man put up 96 points in a loss.
Yeah, they only won 2 of those 6 games they played against the elite teams in E-Star and IG. And I think he dropped 50 bombs in both of those wins. So he could definitely score a ton.
Yeah, that's crazy. So really good scores. So if we're choosing a captain from this team, probably doing B.
Yeah,
Chris, if you're trying to afford.
That's where all the gold is funneled into.
Yeah, it's mainly doing B. Crisp is good if you're stacking favorites, I guess, but the main man is doing B.
Alex is asking, is DK scoring similar to FanDuel, and can we use the same cheat sheets and optimizer info?
Yes.
Yes, the scoring is the same. The salaries
no bonus for 10 kills or assists. That's the only difference.
Yeah, I mean, there's some bonuses, but essentially the thing to note is the salaries are different, so who the values are change, but who the best players are, who the best teams are.
FanDuel tends to like with DraftKings, a lot of the salaries are kind of in line with each other for a team. Is where if a team is known to have a pretty good top laner compared to others, that top laner would be priced way the hell up on FanDuel compared to his teammates.
You've got to be careful with the salaries. So to complete this game, LNG, just uncheck them. Plus 500, plus the 600 underdog. You're better off just betting that on the book and making 6x if they there's no point in DFSing that. Just bet.
Unless you're doing like 200 plus. I guess.
Yeah, if you're making a crazy amount of lineups. Now, these other two games to me seem like the games to focus on for this slate across the board. I would almost fade this game. It seems to me like these two games, especially with the way the salaries are. Look at Billy Gaming. Let's start with this game. Billy, Dominus. We're getting familiar with these teams at this point. Seen a lot of them.
There's only one team worse than these two teams, and that is V5.
Okay, so essentially what you're saying is these teams are bad. We get it. But two bad teams facing off against one another can equal a fantasy points bonanza.
Yep.
It can.
Yeah, that is how you want it. That's like when you play online against some other team and you're kind of evenly matched, and next thing you know, it's an hour later, and you're pentakilling them, they're pentakilling you. There's all kinds of shit going on. Get the gank on the hang low, all of it.
And they were ganking hang last night, and they scored pretty low.
That's when I get in a game at like 2:30 in the morning after the slate lock. I'm like, man, I'll go to sleep at 3. Next thing I know, it's like 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I got to go to bed. You know what I'm saying? So
late night hours.
Yeah,
it's rough.
All right, so let's get down to business with this. Actually, we've got a really cool breakdown here. So we can go from the spreadsheet. We've got all this great info. I never know where to go on screen, but we got Billy Gaming. We got Dominus Esports. Both teams' players have been scoring really well when they win. You got Billy, a minus 180 favorite. That's given us, let's go to projections here. Billy, where are you? A 60% implied win probability against a 40% implied win probability for Dominus. Taco, I see here that you are removing the VIG from the implied probability. Is that happening?
Yeah.
Fucking goat, man. Love that shit. That's awesome. Okay.
Yeah, I love doing that. It's more of an accurate way to look at things. That's why decimal odds reign supreme over American odds. Definitely one of my strongest stances right there.
We can have a discussion about metric system versus the mile too, but no one wants to hear that. They want to hear a breakdown of the freaking
imperialists.
Yeah.
If you scroll over to the right on that sheet, you can get a pretty good sense of how they give up points versus each other.
Explain what I'm seeing here, because this is very, very important. I see that average fantasy points gained in a win is massive. I thought originally that Billy was this team that prevented fantasy point bonanzas.
Yeah. Recently, they've been getting kind of beat up, though. So, I mean, it changes. But
yeah,
it also depends on how you're looking at it, too. Raw, like, average fantasy points allowed. It seems with Billy, they like to give up a lot of points to ADC. If you look at average team fantasy point percentage, it's all pretty low outside of the ADC, where it tends to get most of the ADC and support. You get a higher percentage than if you look at DMO. Their numbers on ADC and support a little bit lower. So it seems like the bot lanes in wins.
Wait, what am I missing here? These numbers look exactly the same on the top and on the bottom. What am I missing? Why am I not seeing this?
Yeah, for DMO, their average team fantasy points allowed for their ADC and their support is 22% and 15.9%.
You're looking at the percentages. Okay.
Yeah. And for Billy, or sorry, I guess it's DMO that I'm talking about, because I'm talking about the opponent they're facing.
Yeah. So Billy
against DMO. DMO, they give up a lot, it seems, to the ADCs and the supports.
Okay, I see here. Okay, so 22%, that's a higher number, decently high number for support compared to only 22% for mid, where mid would be expected higher. And all right, so on the flip side, on the DMO side, looks like the mid is where DMO, Billy is giving up the most points, which would favor GA a little bit here as an interesting captain going mid instead of ADC.
ZA has the highest team fantasy point percentage on DMO. It's under fantasy point stats there.
Yeah.
The percentage of fantasy points given to him. Usually the ADC is the highest in that regard, but both these teams actually seem to be focused on their mid laner.
Very interesting right there. So, all right. Now, advantage. Who do we like in this game and why?
Personally, it is a close game. Obviously, you have to think about it that way, so it's not a landslide. But I think BLG, they've been good before, like pretty good before. They've never usually been at the bottom of the table when it comes to the LPL. The roster is basically the same. Their players are good. I think they're good. They just haven't really figured it out this year. DMO is kind of a mess. They've been all over the place. They've kind of found something recently, but I don't fully believe in them just yet. So I slightly prefer BLG in this game.
There are some bargain basements on both of these teams. You could really do a lot, but especially Jinmo and ADD. ADD, who has scored really well and wins. So tell me about ADD. He burned me the other day, got subbed out. Now I have post-traumatic stress thoughts from ADD. Was it him that got subbed out a couple days ago?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he burned me.
He's normally pretty good. They share time with him and Kingen this year, but usually he's like similar to Gimgoon. He's like a weak side top laner. He plays the tanks. He plays the gangplank. He's always usually pretty solid, but they've only recently used him for a few games this season. Normally they would have him in more, but I think he's pretty good. It's just they're trying to figure stuff out as well. But I think for now they've got him in. They've set him in as their top laner.
Okay, but a little bit of sub risk going on here.
But there is.
If I'm using Billy, do we have a preferred captain? I mean, if I can afford Fofo, is that the guy, the mid, or is it a Jin Zhao situation? It looks like Fofo participates in a higher percentage of team kills than Jin Zhao does.
Yeah, Fofo and Meteor are the two players on this team that really make the whole thing work. Jin Zhao is more of like, he's just there to team fight. He's not really a strong laner. He's not a main focus for this team. Fofo and Meteor make everything run.
Interesting. Meteor, the jungler. So there we go. And it shows in their fantasy points per win. Now, is ADD's stat a little bit off here? Because
low sample size with him.
Very low. Yeah, only a few games.
That's okay. Always this low sample size is very troubling. All right, so if we jump over to Dominus here and just get a quick run through of the players we like here, Gala is definitely their guy, their star, their big swinger. Is that the primary captain? I mean, if you're using this team, you could pretty much afford whoever you want.
Yeah. Gala last year, it was on the same team as well. Basically, they were also better last year. This year, they're kind of a train wreck. But last year, Gala was one of their better performing players. This year, Xie has come in, and he's probably their main star now. But Gala still plays excellent in their wins. And Natural as well. He's a very good carry top laner when given the chance. So those three are the main focus, I think.
There we go. And Zhao Peng hasn't been terrible in wins either. I mean, he's been scoring really well.
Yeah, he's okay.
I guess I'm wondering if like looking at fantasy points in a loss is predictive of anything. Because definitely GA and Fofo.
I said the 2-1s. ZA has also got like a limited sample size too. He's been subbed in and out throughout the year.
Yeah.
Okay. And
I think even a mid-game sub like 3 or 4 games ago.
Which pushes me to ask the question. You have 3 sub threats listed here on Dominus. Are these guys sub threats if they lose only?
They've been losing a lot lately. I've only seen Jaya get subbed out once after just a god-awful performance. I mean, it can happen. Natural, I think, has just been subbed out for a series, but not in the middle of the game. And I think the same with Xiaopeng.
Okay. All right, cool. All right, let's move on to the final match on this card. And this is our familiar friends over at eStar. We love eStar. They got the best fantasy points per win numbers you're ever going to see.
Love you, Xiaoxi.
Xiaoxi is my dude. He's actually my dude. 5,600.
Always underpriced.
This price is so cheap. I'm starting to think
he scores more than his top laner and is $1,000 cheaper every time. Draftkings just set in their ways about how they like to price different positions.
I mean, Xiaoxi is no joke. Let's take a look at the projection sheet first for this. And yes, JDG. All right, so let's get a quick look at what we have going on here. Implied kills, we've got 14.5 for E-Star. E-Star is the favorite. Look at the fantasy points projections for Wink and Crying. You don't have such a high
like,
here for
they had
Xiao.
like 5 straight games in a row where they would get like 100 plus them.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to afford Wink or Crying. Actually, you might
really try.
You could do it with Dominus. You can do it maybe. Oh, you know what? Let's see. Hang on. E-Star.
It should just be Dominus. Because otherwise you'd have to like LNG or something or do a double support stack.
Let me just try something here. Before we break it down, I throw Shicey in the captain position. We got I might have to go with,
try to get Crying and Wink because when they go off, they all go off.
Yeah, I do like to try to get Crying in there. I like to get Wink in there too. I want them all. I like them all. And then wait, this is working. Look at this. Hold up. Too many E-Star. Got to throw. Oh no! Wait, hold. Which one is playing? Zinmo?
Zinmo, yeah.
Yeah, Zinmo.
I don't think Zinmo's been subbed out all year, actually.
Look at this. No worries. As a matter of fact, I have so much left over. I'm starting to think I might be able to get somebody better in the captain. It's an interesting lineup right there.
But yes, FPX with a one-off will probably work if you do double support. That's why I like doing it so much.
I mean, if I throw and hold on, get him. He's a support, right? So if I take Jinmo out, I put Xiaoxi in as my support. Who do I have left? Nothing.
You still only have the 2 teams checked, but
what's that? Oh, yeah, you're saying, yeah, but which team am I really going to use here? FPX? They're even more expensive. You know what I mean? You'd have to pay up.
Oh, yeah.
So there are some ways to go. I did like that Xiaoxi lineup, though. I didn't mind it at all.
Probably sneak a crisp in there.
Hold on. I got to put the lineup in. It's a cash lineup.
Yeah.
Got to make it work.
Sneak crisp right in there.
Get crispy in there. Boom. Done. All right. Just need to make sure. If that makes all the money, we can all share it. Now, here we go.
Timestamp that.
Advantage. Who do you like here and why?
So this game is even closer than the first one, and it's between 2 actual decent teams, not garbage teams this year. E-Star has been really on fire for the beginning of the season. They've lost 2 games in a row to Vici Gaming, VG, and RNG. JDG have subbed in Zoom, and he's actually a really good player, so that boosts them quite a bit.
Super cheap.
And he's dirt cheap. He's 5,400 or something like. Yeah, he's super cheap. So
put up numbers, yeah.
Yeah, and their team is just as good as E-Star, like talent wise. I'd say maybe even better. It just comes down to the play style that I think JDG has the advantage, where E-Star kind of do the same thing every game. They pressure bot lane early, they snowball bot lane, and then they just run you over, which is why they have massive fantasy points, because they just keep fighting you with the lead they have. JDG is a smart team that has multiple threats, so I think they can diversify where they play the game. And people are starting to figure out E-Star. Like the good teams have beaten E-Star because they can respond to their aggression and they can not fall for it. So
your IG, and you get baited into getting rolled by them.
Yeah, IG's not smart at all, so that's a little different. Yeah.
When you say they crash the bottom lane,
yeah.
So essentially, what's happening? That's why Xiaoxi and Wink are a really good combination, and they both seem to have a really high participation rate. They probably keep the jungler down there too, which is why he's in on all of this stuff. Is that basically how they play?
All 4 of them. So Wei, Cryan, Wink, and Xiaoxi, they all go bot lane, which is why Xiaobai, their top laner, is kind of low scoring and left alone. He doesn't really participate that much. Everybody else is just running it down bot lane to party.
Nice.
Yeah, he is the weak side top laner.
Yeah.
Him and Gimgun.
We don't
best
want
examples.
weak side top laners, man. They don't score.
Typically
Nope.
not, no.
Although I think the last time at E-Star was in the Nets, their top laner was in it just kind of by default because there were so many team fights. It was like that big long series with like a bajillion kills against Suning.
That was an awesome matchup. All right, so you like advantage. You like the underdog here, Taco. Do you agree? Are you on JDG in this one?
Yeah. E-Star just sucks at closing out games. They have like the longest average game time of any team in any series. When they get a lead, they don't know what to do with it a lot of the time, it seems. And they're really good at getting out in a lead. And they've been figured out the last 2 games they've played against some really quality opponents. And, they've beaten their fair share quality opponents this year in FPX and IG. JD is really good. I think that the switch from 705 to Zoom is really good for them. I think they're 6-0 with Zoom in their lineup. Really solid team. As far as Loken looked really bad last time out. Like they had a 2-0 win, but I think Loken only scored like 60 fantasy points or something. But he was messing around taking a mage bot lane. So maybe if he can keep his ADC pool full of actual ADCs, I think he'll be fine.
Why is Yagao such a lower scorer than Kanavi and Loken?
So Kanavi is the best jungler in the LPL. Kanavi is definitely the top place you'd want to go for as far as JD goes. Outside of maybe Zoom, just because of the price. The price just way off.
Well, I feel like if you're playing this team, you're good with. I mean,
yeah, you definitely want Kanavi in there if you're stacking the team because he's kind of their bread and butter. He's really good at just going around the map, starting off games real hot. I think in their last series, he started off like a quick 3-0, 4-0. Just got snowballing really early before the rest of his team got going. But he's good at transferring that lead over to one of his carries. It's just usually Loken, not Yagao.
Kanavi, best jungler in the game. Let's see what his kill percentage is. 77% of the time here.
Very
Let's see
involved.
what the DVP looks like. Not great, but it doesn't matter.
He's he should be good enough to.
Yeah. The issue I saw is both of them have really, really poor average fantasy points gained in a win for the teams they're facing. Both of them really don't give up a lot of fantasy points.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. I'm like average fantasy points gained in a win, very low. In general, they like JDG seems to have very low scoring games.
Yeah.
E-Star.
It's a very close game, though. Like 12.5 to 10.5 in the implied kill totals. That's usually a sign that it's going to be a bit of a bloodbath. But when I first looked at the slate, I think, ES, JDG, you might want to almost game stack this. But the more I look at it, I think the winning stack will probably come from that DMO shit fest rather than this one.
I do think that you almost have to have one team. And are we pretty well off of FPX here, thinking they're just going to smash too easily?
I kind of like LWX, Crisp, and Tion. If you can get there. But yeah, I think they're most likely going to like LNG is really good as far as a matchup goes. You can put up a lot of points against them. It just depends on if when it comes to these one-sided crushes, sometimes they just want to go for a bunch of kills, and that's really great for fantasy scoring. They'll rack up the points in the end and all that. But sometimes you'll see, and you see this with FPX a lot, they try to speed run the game and see if they can get a 20-minute win. And that's when it's just horrible for fantasy scoring. Like you saw that when IG went against V5 in that dream matchup. They realized they were just going to crush them, and they're like, hey, how fast can we finish that game? And that's horrible for fantasy scoring. So it depends on what they do.
It's like they don't know that we're doing the fantasy component.
Yeah.
And that we care. Because if they wanted fans,
they need to hold the other team hostage for us.
Yeah, now's the time to acquire fans. That's like when you ever play and the other team is all in your base, but they're refusing to hit the final thing because they just want to keep getting kills.
Yep. We need that.
Yeah, that's a dick move, but I like that. Yeah, that's awesome. All right, Jonathan Kleinowski.
LTK teams do it ever. They just hit the Nexus. They're very disciplined. LPL teams, they'll troll them. They'll emote in the base.
Yeah, that's how you want to do it. Just like let the minions get that final kill. You're out there just killing all the people.
Dive in the base.
Jonathan has a really good question here, and I want to pose it to you guys as we've been studying winning lineups. He says, is the 4-2-1 stack the way to go rather than 4-3? I haven't seen a 4-3 stack win a big GPP in a while now, he says. That does seem to be the case. Like,
it comes down to the team slot. Usually it's just some benign crap like, the team won, but they just shoved it down mid, and so they missed the last like 2 turrets on both sides. And
it's come down to team also stuff. The team slot on the not just on because the team score isn't correlated necessarily with the scores of the players, but it's come down to that also because a lot of times you can get a team that wins that's a lot cheaper, significantly cheaper if an underdog like yesterday they were again this massive favorite. He's FPX. They might outscore the other teams because they're a massive favorite, right? They might outscore the other teams, but where am I? Yeah, they might outscore the other teams, but not by enough to make up for the difference in salary. So let's say, we've got DMO and BLG are the 2 kind of crap teams going up against one another. Let's say DMO wins. Or actually, you guys like JDG. This is a really good example. JDG, E-Star, very close odds. JDG, let's say they win. Right?
JDG actually has better odds than DMO, but they're cheaper.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? It's mispriced a little bit there. So let's say they win. Now you put them in here. Now let's say we don't think JDG's team is going to score well. I think they will, but let's say we didn't think that, and we want to do a FPX, two favorites here. This might allow us to do something like put the most expensive guy in, and just load up on the most expensive, sort of. Well, we don't want to.
I don't think
that's exactly what happened last night with the OMG team. That was the only thing you needed from that game was the team,
because it was cheaper, and the rest of your lineup you were able to pay up. So
they scored as well as the other 2 winning teams.
Taco, what have you observed about the winning approach to stacking?
It seems like 4-2-1, 4-3 are the most optimal, the ones that you see win more often. Not sure about best of 5s. We're going to really get into that as the LCS and LEC splits go into their playoffs, and we see more of the best of 5 stacks, although those tend to be 2-game slates, so they're a little bit different.
Best of 5 is just going to be insane.
You
have to completely throw. I mean, you've got to be able to game stack.
And then best of 1 also is a little different. You don't see 4-3 stacks doing quite as well there. Seems like a best of 5, 4-3 would almost be the way to go if there was ever, for some reason, like a 4 or 6 game slate for best of 5s, like you see sometimes in like Worlds or like the first round of the playoffs.
One thing people don't understand is this hasn't been around as a mass multi-entry sport on DFS for more than 3 weeks. It literally just started.
Only during Worlds historically we've seen mass multi-enter contests each year.
They have had them in the past.
Oh, definitely.
Like once a year, though.
It's
usually
big, yeah. Just in October, and it's only for like the very first round where there are a lot of teams still in it. Sort of like how the NBA, NFL playoffs work, where the first round's the only one really worth a damn. It becomes like 2-game slates.
Yeah, and even then though, people weren't making 150. No optimizers existed for this before like 3 weeks ago.
Oh yeah.
So, people weren't making 150, I don't think, but they were making a few. So it's all new in terms of like what approach is the winning approach. We don't know. We don't know for sure.
I like mixing it up. I like running the DS multiple times. So I'll try to allocate it in a way where it's like I'll run it 3 different times, maybe 30% each, and then the remaining 10% just being weird with either hand builds or like game stacks or something weird like that. But I usually try to split it up between 4-2-1s, 4-3s, and then 3-3. Those are probably the 3 best ways to go there. And I think the difference between a 4-3 and a 4-2-1, honestly, is just kind of minimal. Because sometimes that team you're going to want the team on there, especially if you're doing a 4-3 with like a favorite and an underdog. But if you're doing a 4-2-1, it's more likely going to be like 2 favorites and then like a 1 off from like the dog or something.
Now, what I've noticed is if you set the domination station for 4-2, it will mix up 4-2-1 and 4-3 stacks.
Yeah.
That's an interesting way to go. But the danger when you do it is it will start to throw in as the 1 off like a super underdog, and you don't want that.
Yeah.
Like I don't want.
This is what you needed yesterday, but in some of the 6-gamers, it will throw in a random kind of team. So you want to set like specific maximum percentages on the team, especially the underdog. I like to go in there and just set a rule just for that.
Davey's asking about the randomization feature and how much do you use it and how high. I do use it. Sometimes I turn it all the way up to 50.
I do about 20, 25 around there. It seems about right.
Yeah, so I use it more because I want it to mix and match sort of how the teams are getting matched up against one another. I like to have a nice mix of team versus team. And we're actually looking at the engine that drives the way it selects teams to match up and pair up against one another. Because, again, I think the ideal approach is, let's say I figure out I want 30, 40, 50% of whatever teams I'm into, that I want a nice mix of those teams matched up against each other just to make sure that, everything is sort of well-rounded and I hit a lot of different angles. So I turn it up pretty high as well. Let's see if there's any other questions here. All right. So for both of you guys, favorite captain on the slate?
Chelsea. If you're playing ES, if you're not playing ES, then I guess it's going to be just the best piece of either DMO or BLG, whatever team you're using there.
Yeah. You pretty much that's a tournament approach, right? And in cash, what about cash? I think you got to keep
doing B in that case. You definitely would want him if you're using FPX.
And FPX, just go doing B, their best guy.
Yeah.
Put him in there. Is this a good cash slate? It's really tough to pick that second winner.
I don't think so. I don't think it's a very good cash slate at all because you got two very, very, very close games and one just super expensive, massive favorite.
Yeah, I'm feeling that too. This feels like
I don't have much of a take on ES JDG. I would not be surprised at all if either team won that. It's very, very, very close. Probably one of the best matchups you could make. Honestly,
will it score well?
Close and skill wise. I don't think it'll score that well. DMO, BLG, that game's just like a giant question mark as far as scoring. Could score like terrible. Could be the absolute nuts, but also don't have as strong of a take on that one. I mean, favoring BLG, but they're bad enough. I could see DMO beating them. I could see a situation where it's like that WE game from a few slates ago where the one team loses, the other team is the nuts.
That's
stuff like
ridiculous. That. Yeah, that was just ridiculous. Corey's asking any FanDuel specific plays for the slate. I think it goes the same way, Corey, on FanDuel, where when you pick, put the best player, the ADC or the mid, from the team that you're stacking the most from in the MVP spot. So if you're stacking FPX on FanDuel, put either Doing B or LWX up there. Probably Doing B, right? Up there. If you're stacking, it just depends on what games you're going to stack.
It seems like BLG is the best priced for FanDuel. And actually, it's a lot easier to get pieces of Fun Plus Phoenix. Like everyone's pretty close in salary over there, so I guess it's not as hard to get them.
When did FanDuel add LPL?
Like just either last slate or the one before that.
Pretty recently,
2 days ago. Yeah, I'm like, wait.
I think they even added it.
Yeah, we already had members posting massive wins from last night's slate. I had a guy DM me a 4K win on FanDuel. I'm like, what? That's awesome. Corey's saying he struggles with picking a support. What are we looking for on who to pick? I will answer that. Couple things you want to look at, but the number one thing is fantasy points and a win. Get the guys with high ones like Shicey, 33. Then what else? What else are we looking for, guys, on our support? High kill participation?
Yeah, that's a good one. Other good ones are Crisp is good. If you're using JDG, then LV Mao is pretty good. He's really cheap.
Very cheap and scores decent, 25.
Pretty good, yeah.
Crisp scores decent, 26.
Chelsea just too cheap as always. Again, he outscores his top laner like every game. $1,000 cheaper for no reason.
Got to take advantage of the mistakes that DraftKings makes on their salary algorithm. And I don't know on FanDuel because I don't have the FanDuel pricing open in front of me, but if he's a bargain on FanDuel too, that's awesome. All right. Let's wrap it up, guys. The PentaKill, Full Force, Taco, Advantage. It's April 6th. It's really April 7th. Do we call this the April 6th or the April 7th slate? I'm having a hard time with that.
I call it the 7th since it's technically tomorrow, like technically, but
are we sort of negating West Coast people who it's still today in California at 2 a.m.?
yeah.
We got to also think about our buddies in the EU that also play, because there is a small DraftKings following over there. So we'll split the difference. Just call it. We'll give it to the majority here and just call it the 4-7 slate.
All right, that's fair. That's fair. I have a hard time naming it. I think I named this one 4-6, and then I was like, is it 4-6 or is it 4-7? I don't know. Everybody thinks it's yesterday's slate. I wasn't sure. All right, that's it for the PentaKill, guys. Open to the public today. So what's up, the public?
Hey,
this is what you get when you have DFS Army. You get this cheat sheet. You get these awesome projections. You get all kinds of stats. And the domination station. Get questions and answers. That's why everybody wins, man. Best team in the biz. Let's do this, guys. Good stuff. Take care, everyone. Good luck tonight.
Hell yeah. Have fun. Don't forget to use promo code TACO for lifetime 20% off, baby.
There it is. DFSArmy.com. Yeah. Wait, I always forget. One last thing. You're watching this? Like and subscribe. Smash that like button. Smash that subscribe button. Get notifications whenever we do the live stream. That way you get to see it. It's not all League of Legends. Sometimes it's actual sports, other sports that aren't electronic. Sometimes we talk about coronavirus. Sometimes we just talk about life.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
We got it all.
We got it all. All right. That's it. Good luck tonight, everybody.
Yeah, have a good one, guys.
Good luck.